Hello, welcome to the Uplifting Report. Today, thank you, Lord, we are going to finish section F, this section in Sharia on Islamic prayer. I am tired of going through this section, and we have some humorous things we're going to encounter. One of them is, does Islam even know what supplication means? The hilarious truth we will talk about and we will prove. Um, and then there's this statement that in Sharia that attractive women need to pray at home. Uh, I read that and you sit there like, whoa, okay. Well, we've been talking about how they've been coming and kneeling down in prayer behind women so they can look at their behinds. Okay, it's in there. I mean, that's part of the reasoning for this, I'm guessing, but I would never have thought about it. And learning from other people what about the hadiths that I haven't even caught yet and getting all this information. Oh, the joys of Islam, that they have to create all these rules for. Again, all these rules that we're going to be talking about, there's nothing in there in the Quran that tells you how to pray. There's nothing in the hadiths that tell you how to pray. But Christianity, we have examples and we don't have anything telling us how to pray. We have things giving us examples of how to pray. That's the cool thing. There's nothing like that in Islam. And we have a example. That's what I like. And it says something. When you have an example of how to pray, that just says something. All right. And I'm going to take us straight into the Word of God because that's how we start. We read a passage from God's Word. And today, this is from my devotional for today. 2 Kings chapter 1, verses 5 to 18. And when the messengers, let me start and give you a little background. This is Elijah the Tishbite has already met a messenger, some messengers from the king. Now, the king of Israel is not somebody, he's Jezebel and Ahab's son. So he's not a really good guy. That's the truth of the matter. This is a bad guy. This is Ahaziah. And he's decided he's going to ask Baal, a fake god, a pretend god, if he's going to live or die. Well, Elijah was sent by God to say, you're going to die. They didn't even finish going to Baal, and then they get told to go back by Elijah, and he tells them that. Well, the king, then the story continues from here. And when the messengers turned back unto him, the king, and he said unto them, why are you now turned back? And they said to him, there came a man to meet us, and said unto us, go, turn again unto the king that sent you, and say unto him, thus saith the Lord, is it not because there is not a God in Israel that you send and inquire of Beelzebub, the god of Ekron? Therefore you shall not come down from that bed on which you are gone up, but you shall surely die. And he said unto them, what manner of man was he, which came up to meet you and told you these words? And they answered, he was a hairy man, and girt with a girdle of leather about his waist. And he said, it is Elijah the Tishbite. Then the king sent unto him a captain of 50 with his 50. And he went up to him, and behold, he sat on the top of a hill and spoke to him, hey, you man of God, the king has said, come down. And Elijah answered and said to the captain of 50, if I be a man of God, then let fire come down from heaven and consume you and your 50. And there came down fire from heaven, and it consumed him and his 50. So that's 51 dead. 51 dead who would either come to kill or arrest him. Again, also, he sent unto him another captain of 50 with his 50. And he answered and said unto him, O man of God, thus has the king said, come down quickly. And Elijah answered and said to him, if I be a man of God, let fire come down from heaven and consume you and your 50. And the fire of God came down from heaven and consumed him and his 50. Now that's 102 people dead. And he sent again a captain of the third 50 with his 50. And the third captain of 50 went up and came and fell on his knees before Elijah, besought him and said unto him, O man of God, I pray you, Let my life and the life of these 50 of your servants be precious in your sight. Behold, there came down fire from heaven and burnt up the 2 captains of the former 50s with their 50s. Therefore, let my life now be precious in your sight. And the angel of the Lord said unto Elijah, Go down with him. Be not afraid of him. And he arose and went down with him unto the king. And he said unto him, Thus says the Lord, Forasmuch as you have sent messengers to inquire of Beelzebub, of the god of Ekron, is it not because there is no God in Israel to inquire of his word? Therefore, you shall not come down off that bed in which you are gone up, but you shall surely die. So he died, according to the word of the Lord, which Elijah had spoken. And Jehoram reigned in his stead in the 2nd year of Jehoram, the son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, because he had no son. That means that the Jehoram we're talking about is the brother of the king who just died. Now, in yesterday's reading, Elijah sends a message this would be kind of give you the background of the impending death. King Ahaziah had sent messengers to inquire of the false god Baal. Think about it a bit more, and you'll see that God had demonstrated his omniscience, his all-knowing nature of what this king had done. Who could tell Elijah this but the king? But God. The messengers did not even know who had sent the message. This God of Elijah interrupts an attempt to get an answer from a false god and delivers his prophet Elijah to communicate an answer. Ahaziah would not have been able to escape his father and mother's curses against Elijah as he grew up. He had to know who Elijah was. This would be someone he would have been very aware of. So why didn't Ahaziah inquire of this prophet? Sadly, Ahaziah was someone who sought to live in his parents' manner and worship a false god. His arrogance can be seen in his response to Elijah. Remember his mother Jezebel threatened to kill Elijah? Ahaziah could fulfill that desire with sending a captain and 50 men. This response was an attempt to intimidate, capture, or kill Elijah for his boldness. Ahaziah had difficulty grasping that it was not Elijah's boldness that was at play here. It was the boldness of the living God. This first captain and his 50 show only to be consumed by God and fire. Ahaziah is so confident that this was a fluke. Excuse me. All right. That's what I get for not ready to put things on silent. And apologize. All right. Ahaziah is so confident this was a fluke, a chance occurrence, that he sends another captain and his 50, and they're consumed. 102 men now dead because of an arrogant king who doesn't want to hear from the living God. An arrogant king who thinks himself stronger than a God who knew about a message he was sending. The God who knew when Ahaziah was even sending the message, and the very route he was sending the message on. When you're king, admitting you're wrong is not always an easy task. Ahaziah sends a third captain in his 50. The third captain recognizes he and his men are being sent to their deaths. Must do something different to appease this man of God, regardless of what the king wants. The king and his 50 live because they approached Elijah with respect and with reverence that this is the prophet of the living God. Elijah then goes and delivers the very same message to the arrogant king. And guess what? Ahaziah dies shortly afterwards. Think about that. God knows where you're at. He knows what you're doing. This is a God that is so big. So big. Now, I want to get into this presentation today. This is going to be mind-numbing. And if you want to join us, Larry, that'd be great because we've got a lot to go through today. Here we go. And again, the question today is, does Islam know what supplication means? And can we finish this today? That's the big part of the problem, I would say. All right. We're going to get my mouse in the right spot so we can go. All right. So we're going to start out with a prayer on the 2 Ides. So Sharon, can you read the left side, please?
The prayer of the 2 Ides.
Ides.
Eid al-Fitr at the end of Ramadan, and Eid al-Adha on 10 Dhul Hijjah. The prayer on the two Eids is a confirmed sunnah and is recommended to be prayed in a group. Its time begins at sunrise and it is recommended to take place after the sun is a spear's length above the horizon. The time for its current performance continuing until noon.
I find this still humorous. We keep talking about a spear, and that's how they're taking it. Yeah, really, is that going to exactly work all the time? I'm kind of curious. I don't know enough about astronomy to truly understand that and say this works and this doesn't. But it does make you wonder. If that's how they're going to do this all around the world, then you have people celebrating things at different times all the time, and it's never a celebration all the way around the world at the exact same moment. So you have to sit there and wonder if this little God actually knows that. I don't think he does. And if Sharia is Allah's law and Allah doesn't know something, oh, what does this say? So the whole world cannot celebrate Eid at the same time. That's how you have to look at it, because different time zones exist. I don't think Allah understands that. If you look on the right, I have highlighted a confirmed sunnah. We're going to be talking about this confirmed sunnah. And one of my problems with this is it's not in the hadith, it's not in the Quran, it's not in the seerahs. So, how is it a confirmed sunnah? I mean, that's the issue. None of this stuff has a scripture reference. It's a confirmed sunnah. No, it's not. Start thinking about that. All right. I'll read 19.5. The Eid prayer consists of 2 rakas. In addition to the opening Allahu Akbar, I'm going to read the right side, and I'll tell you why I'm doing that first. Look at the left side while I'm reading this right side. Look at it, kind of interesting. It is 2 rakas. He recites 7 takbirs. Now look on the left side. One says Allahu Akbar 7 times. When a Muslim imam says takbir, guess what they have to say? Allahu Akbar. The imam says takbir, the crowd says Allahu Akbar. So either way, you're getting this 7. It's like this passage, this piece right here is written to the imam. It's not written to the average person. And that's an interesting change of audience, because in general, this has been written to the average Muslim, this law. But now the law is being written to the imam. So I find this a bit strange. When you write to someone, in general, you keep your audience the same. If I generally, when I write my books, I write to everyone. I try to write to the common man, not to the scholar. I do that intentionally. I tried writing a book to a scholar. I'll write some things to scholars, but I'm not going to put that out in a same form as I would where I expect everybody to read it. You have to know your audience and know where they are. This surprises me. Might sound strange to everybody else, but that's something I pick up on, and it's repeated. So I'm kind of curious if there's a different writer here. If it just makes me ask questions, but then that's the critical thinking element. That's part of what we're doing. Asking questions that people should be asking. Why are they talking to the imam and not to the average person as they had been? Notice here it goes on 5 takbirs other than the takbir of standing, in which he raises the hand and mentions God Almighty between them by saying Allahu Akbar. I'm going to read the left side. I don't like the translation of Allah as God. It says, one invokes Allah's Most High between each Allahu Akbar, saying, glory be to Allah, praise be to Allah. There's no God but Allah. Allah is the greatest, placing the right hand upon the left. Now, we've covered this before. The right hand on the left. Let's see. Where do they get this idea, right hand on the left, and why is it right for some people and wrong for others? Well, let's see. Remember this right hand on the left? You'll see that you see the Shafi's got the right hand on the left. You'll see the Hanbali, he's got the right hand on the left. Hanafi's got the right hand on the left. Oh, the Maliki, no. The Salafi, got the right hand on the left, but they're on the chest. Oh, does it really matter? That to me is humorous. I don't think it matters. But this is, again, you have to do things just so, or you have to remember Allah will invalidate your prayer. Oh, how do you know what's right? How do you know what's wrong? What kind of God is this that invalidates prayer? Notice this was a section where we didn't say it your prayer is invalidated if you don't do things just so. And this is, again, maybe it's a different voice, maybe it's a different person. We don't find that here. So it does sound interesting. Sharon, can you read 19.6 for us, please?
On the left?
Yes.
Okay. It is recommended to recite Oath, Quran 50 in the first rakah, and Al-Qamar, Quran 54 in the second. Or if one wishes, one may recite Allah, Quran 87 in the first rakah, and how about if I just say Quran 88?
Quran 88, yep. I'm never going to memorize the names.
Yeah. Or one may recite Quran 109 in the first rakah and Quran 112 in the second.
And this is the part that kills me. Is there any actual prayer going on? No, there's recitation, there's repetition. Really? I mean, what does that say about when are they actually praying? They're not talking to God. Prayer is a personal conversation between you and God. If they're just repeating what is said in Islamic scripture, how is that a prayer? Especially if they can't understand it and they have to pray in Arabic. How is that communicating to God? If you can't even understand what you're saying, we have a severe problem here. It's a total disconnect. It's just got to make you think. Can you read 19.7, please?
Yeah. After the two rakahs, the imam gives two sermons, like those of the Friday prayer, in integrals, not conditions, which here exclude F18.10. It is recommended to open the first sermon by saying Allahu Akbar 9 times and to open the second by saying it 7 times. It is permissible for the imam to sit during the sermons.
I mean, why would you put, this part I don't necessarily understand. He delivers two sermons after them, like Friday prayer. You see on the right is what I'm reading. With regard to the essential elements, not the conditions, he begins with the first call with the 9 takbirs. So so they're making these little breaks where he's saying Allahu Akbar, takbir, Allahu Akbar. Notice in the translation here, the translation is speaking to the average man. The thing that gets me, again, this is the same writer. He's writing to the imam. The person who's translating is not carrying over that voice because that would be noticed. That's the same thing that happened when the first piece we wrote. Why are they doing this? Because they understand the consistency of voice and audience. This is a problem. This tells me that more than one person wrote this piece of law. I mean, I noticed that as an author. I noticed that as an educator. I noticed this. So these are things I actually look at. I'm helping, if I'm ever working with teens and helping them write, this is something I would point out. You're not being consistent. Well, that generally means somebody has contributed, or the child has stolen something, or they just have disconnect with what they're doing. We're talking about children. What does it mean when you see this in adults? And when you see this with adults, usually it's somebody else contributing to the work, or someone is stealing, Oh, who do we know who does that? Could it be the president of Harvard and the DEI chief at Harvard? Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get rid of it. How many other people are we going to find at Harvard that steal and are so deceitful?
Oh,
All
yeah.
right, that's scary. And these guys are too cowardly to debate too proudly. I know Yale is. All right, we're going to go on. This is a tough one. Again, notice on the right, an attack beer is sent in tied. The Mursal. On the left, what does it say? There are two types of Allahu Akbars, unrestricted and restricted. On the right, it says, and the takbir is sent and tied. I actually called Usama to talk to him about this. And I was just trying to figure out where are they getting this from? Why are they telling us? I mean, this didn't make any sense to me. And you know what? He said, you know what? It doesn't make sense. Okay. Allahu Akbar. There are different reasons. I will say this. There are different reasons Muslims say Allahu Akbar. They're not just going to blow things up when they say that. Sometimes they're happy and they're saying this and they're saying it happily. Sometimes they're sad. Sometimes they're angry. Sometimes they're just planning to blow themselves up. And I don't want to be in the area. But in a mosque, this gets said all the time. And now they're saying there's two types. Again, the Imam says takbir, and he expects everyone to say Allahu Akbar. And as Usama keeps saying, and I'm going to keep running on this model, it doesn't mean greater. It means bigger. Allah could be fatter. It just means bigger. What are we talking about? He's bigger than what? A mouse? An ant? A gnat? We don't know. Just bigger. What does that say? Allah can be stepped on? Well, if he's smaller than a mouse, but he's bigger than a piece of lice, yeah, he can get stepped on. I don't know what he's bigger than. Nobody ever tells us what he's bigger than. You got to sit there and ask these questions because, again, critical thinking. On the right, I'm going to read from that, and that is the Google Translate of all the Arabic you see there. And I'm going to say this is accurate. I checked the Mursal. Again, there's really, I mean, when I looked up what Mursal meant, I was kind of surprised. Let me see if I can pull this up for you. And get my mouse in the right spot would help. All right, where are you, mouse? Here we go. I did not expect to find some of this stuff. It just, you sit there and you're like, wait a minute. Okay, here we go. First place I found it is this. It's a note, and it says definition of Mursal Hadith. Okay, they use the word Mursal, and they're not defining it. It has to do with the narration of a prophet, blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't give what it really means. So I was trying to find, and as Usama had told me, it's not a good definition. And he was trying to tell me it really means nothing. No matter how many times I hear it means nothing, you hear something like that, and you still got to go look. Okay, part of the researcher in me, I'm trying to find, and I didn't have a whole lot of time to spend and invest in it. But when their own literature isn't giving us an answer, but they're claiming they're giving us an answer. I mean, I kind of feel like I'm running in circles looking for an answer if their own literature doesn't easily define it. I don't know. Let me keep going. Which is not restricted to any circumstance, but rather in mosques, homes, and roads is sunnah. Okay, wait a minute. We're talking about you doing these prayers rather in mosques, homes, and wait a minute. We read earlier in this series, you weren't supposed to pray in the roads. So why are you not praying in the roads? Did we have again, it's not only a different voice, we're back to Shariah abrogating Shariah. If this one says pray in the streets, Why did the last one say you couldn't pray in the streets and say it was offensive to pray in the streets? Why? I mean, I'm confused. Wouldn't an average Muslim be confused if you tell them don't pray in the streets, and now you're saying you got to do this in the streets? I'm thank you for joining us, Darcy. That's part of the things I just don't get. And this is for Eid prayers. It didn't say it was for daily prayers. For daily prayers, it's offensive to pray in the streets. So for Eid prayers, you can go out in the streets. Okay. But for daily prayers, it's offensive. Okay. It says until the imam enters imram the Eid for the Eid prayer, what is restricted and is what brought as a reward. The 5 daily prayers and other voluntary prayers are performed in the sacrifice only from the noon prayer of sacrifice slaughter. Now, this is the point Usama wanted me to make. When we're talking about this, we talk about Eid, we have to talk about this prayer of sacrifice being the slaughter. This is where you'll see the goats being slaughtered. In the UK, they've actually had a problem where Muslims are killing these live goats right in their backyard. They're draining their blood into bathtubs, or they're making a bloody mess in their yard, and people are complaining. I'm sure it happens here in the States in different places, in Canada for sure, some places. You sit there and you kind of wonder what's up. And it's just, when you look at these things, you have to sit there and go, okay, this is the slaughter they're talking about, and they call it a sacrifice. Notice this is until the morning prayer at the end of Tashriq, which is the 4th of Eid. And I'm going to go down. As for the Arafat, which is a mountain in Saudi Arabia, until the afternoon for the last days of Tashriq, a man or a woman should say takbir while she is happy to hear herself, whether she is residing or traveling, whether alone or in a group, after the obligatory duties performed and fulfilled from the period before them, the vowed ones, the funeral, and the voluntary prayers. Now, do you remember on the left, that last word there? It says, see where it says voluntary prayers on the right? Supererogatory. Do you know what supererogatory means? Unnecessary. So instead of voluntary, so they're voluntary, but they're unnecessary. What it kind of means the same thing, but what kind of drives the message home? Unnecessary. So you didn't need to do something, but you're doing it. That is voluntary, but everything pretty much has said something else. And I'm going to finish up 19.8, and then I'll ask for your help, Darcy. on the right, I'll read the one on the left here because this is just weird. I'm going to start on the second paragraph. One says Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And then there is no God but Allah, and they're repeating it over and over again. Praise to Allah. Why do they have to do this 3-4 times? I don't understand. I mean, it's like one time you said something, it's pretty understandable, except for maybe it's the purpose is vain repetitions. Again, think about. I mean, they're repeating.
They're contradicting themselves.
Yeah.
If they're always saying, say not 3, but yet here comes this 3 times in a row.
Excellent point. Excellent point. Say not 3. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Well, wait a minute. You just said 3. Are there 3 gods, or is there 3 gods in one? Ooh, maybe got to ask these questions. That's the purpose here. Good point, Darcy. And then it goes on. Much praise to Allah, glory to Him, morning and evening. There's no God but Allah. Him alone we worship, making our religion sincerely His through the unbelievers be averse. Though the unbelievers be averse, there is no God but He fulfilled His promise, gave victory to His slave, strengthened His army. Just to remind everybody, they tried to take down the Christians and they couldn't for for hundreds of years. They got in by a fluke. Yeah. And now today, we are being destroyed by our lack of knowledge. Because people like me aren't getting out there to get the truth out, or people aren't willing to listen. And then you get others who don't want you knowing the truth. If we're out there warning you, start thinking. It's about if they missed the prayer earlier, isn't it? It says it at the top there. If one misses a prayer during the Eid but doesn't make it up after the Eid, then one does not recite Allahu Akbar after it. Yes. If you do recite the Allahu Akbar, that's repeating it 3 times. If one misses a prayer, well, there's another excuse for missing a prayer we're going to get into. And yes, that's well said, Power of One, well said. And I'll put that up. Yeah, everybody needs, because we're on 8 different channels. I just want to make sure that people are aware that we do have people talking with us from other channels, and that's a good comment, by the way. Thank you. F19.9. Could you read that, Darcy, on the left?
It is recommended to say Allahu Akbar on the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah whenever one sees a head of livestock. Example, out of reverence for its creator.
Allah is bigger. How is this going to... I fail to see how... I don't know. That just doesn't make sense to me. What is the purpose of that? I mean, is that the way you're going to bless something? It doesn't give you a reason, which, again, critical thinking, you should be asking those questions. Now we're in a totally different kind of prayer, eclipse prayer. And I'm going to ask Sharon if she could read. We'll go straight down, all the way down.
Okay. The eclipse prayer. Eclipse refers to both that of the moon and sun. F20.1. The eclipse prayer is a confirmed sunnah, and missing it is not permissible, but rather is offensive. Okay. F20.2. Like the drought prayer, it has no call to prayer, beside that mentioned at F19.4. F20.3. It is recommended to be performed in a group at the mosque. It is recommended for women without attractive figures. Oh, gosh. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're asking the same question I am. Like, wait do you see the Arabic on that one? Can you finish that one up and we'll have a laugh?
How do you see it under all the stuff they got to wear?
That's the other question I have. Who decides if they're... No, wait. Who's the judgment of beauty here? Is it the imam? Is it the husband? Or is it the girl herself? I'm pretty.
I want to make a point here. Islam does have beauty contests, but it's not for women. It's for the camels.
I better mute.
Okay.
Oh, maybe it's for the lady cows.
Okay. Oh, well, now that you've said that, finish that up. Well, did you finish it? Okay. Finish this one up, and we'll talk about what's on the right. Oh, did you get to that next part? It's recommended for women without attractive figures to attend.
You want me to finish?
Yeah, finish that.
Okay.
That's just kind of mind-numbing.
Let me start that paragraph again. It is recommended for women without attractive figures to attend in their household clothes, that is, women advanced in years and the like. As for women who have attractive figures, it is desirable for them to perform it in their homes. Okay.
You remember we were talking about guys looking at girls' butts when they're praying? What if that's an actual guy in a dress? I mean, are they going to know? I mean, if he's not wearing a beard, maybe they might not. I honestly don't know. On the right, in this particular section, it says it's recommended to pray for her in congregation. The mosque is attended by women who have no appearance. So they're homely. I guess that's what they're trying to say. They can come dressed in overalls, like old women and the like. Overalls? Like, I don't think that's the actual translation. I think they're just telling them to dress as homely as they can. Household clothes. Okay. It's desirable for women with physical appearance to do this in their homes. I think that's their way of saying attractive or desirable. Cute, the cute girls got to stay home. The pretty ones got to stay home. And again, who determines that? Are you telling them they have to take off their hijab or their veil and they have to be judged when they come in? And if they're saying you have to stay home, who's telling them to stay home? Is it the husband saying, oh, yes, you're pretty? And if the husband says, oh, you go. Oh, I don't want to be that husband. Oh, boy. I mean, what are you saying if you're telling, okay, now you got to go to this eclipse prayer? And the woman's going to be saying, oh, so you think I'm ugly? Can you, any guys out there daring enough to tell your wife, you have to go to the eclipse prayer? Muslims, if you do that, and you're telling your wife she's ugly. Oh. Wow. That's pretty bold and brassy. I've never thought about telling someone to pray that she should pray by telling her she's ugly. That's pretty sad. I don't know. I mean, that's what this says. You can pray at home if you're cute, if you're pretty, if I think you're pretty. Because if this is the guy, now, here's the other thing. If the woman's single and she judges herself to be pretty, she doesn't have to go to the mosque. If the woman, oh, wait, then it would be the dad deciding. Oh, this one's pretty, this one's not. This one's pretty, this one's... Really, you're going to tell your girls no? And if a father says, oh, you're too ugly to go to... Really? You can't... You have to pray at home because you're too pretty. Does that sound like a... How... I mean, it just this I don't have any nice words to describe this kind of ruling. We're on to, okay. Darcy, can you read 20.4 for us on the left?
Yeah. Description of the eclipse prayer. The eclipse prayer consists of 2 rakas. The minimum is A, to open with Allahu Akbar, B, to recite the Fatiha, C, to bow, D, to straighten up, E, to recite the Fatiha again, F, to bow again, G, to straighten up and remain motionless a moment, H, prostrate, then sit up, and then prostrate again.
Have we seen any scriptures when we've read the entirety of section F telling people how to pray? Has there been any scriptures that tell us how to pray? Any references?
Nope, just the motions.
Okay, so somebody had to make this crap up to justify, okay, you got to pray this way. And if you don't do it just so, Allah don't listen to you. And this is the interesting part. We're now read 2 prayers with no invalidations. All the other prayers, if you don't do this, you don't do this, you don't do this, oh, God forbid you fart, oh, your prayers don't get answered. They don't get listened to. They're crap. But here we have one, second one now. There's nothing here saying your prayers get invalidated. And I'm kind of wondering if now we have I mean, this different voice that's been going towards the imams. If you look up here if you look at the right side, it says to recite Al-Fatiha, then bow down, rise up, Al-Fatiha. You notice they don't say Allahu Akbar, they don't say Takbir. So now I'm kind of wondering if we're talking about a third voice. Why didn't they say this? Why did they leave that out, but they added it on the left? Then bow down, rise ups. Notice that's missing. The Allahu Akbar is missing on the right. Why is it on the left? I mean, did they not know? I mean, what should critical thinking be telling us? I mean, so they have a just so way to do things, but they don't want people to know what it really is. I feel sorry for them. I mean, you're getting told one thing and you're getting told the opposite. That's what it's here. I mean, if you read English, you do one thing. If you read Arabic, you do something else. What if they translate it differently for another language?
Wow. I am not sure they even know what they're talking about, what the statement says. So
yeah, if they're looking at Arabic, they just repeat it. I mean, they have no clue what the Fatiha says. Most of them don't, because they're just repeating the sounds that they've heard. And as we saw earlier, which still blows my mind, I don't know how many sessions ago we read this one, but the imams don't have to know the Quran. So if they don't have to know the Quran, they have to know the Shariah in order to become an imam. What are we saying here? I mean, so they will know if they, again, it didn't even say you need to know Arabic. You have to know the first surah in Arabic. You have to know Sharia, and you can know it in your own language. And in this case, which time are you right? When you open with Allahu Akbar or you don't? So, yeah. It's a little insane you can't find out the answer, even though they've given us the translation. If we're trusting the Allah Akbar, the Arabic, we're trusting the Arabic, the English is wrong. All right. We'll keep going here. And back to you, Sharon. We'll go straight through down to the bottom.
This is one rakah comprising standing twice, reciting the Fatiha twice, and bowing twice. One then prays the second rakah like the first. It is not permissible to lengthen the amount of time one stands or bows merely because the eclipse has not yet passed, or to shorten the rakahs to less than the above way after having intended it, because the eclipse has passed. Okay, 20.5. The optimal way is that after reciting the opening supplication, the
Tawud,
and the Fatiha 1. A. Recite Quran 2 for the first Quran recital. B. Recite Quran 3 after the second time one recites the Fatiha. Then the second rakah. C. Recite Quran 4 for the third recital. Hey, if the imam doesn't have to know the Quran, how come all these Qurans have to be recited?
Well, in Quran chapter Surah 2, we're talking about the longest surah in the entire Quran.
Yeah.
We're talking about 200, I think it's 276 verses. Are you telling me you have to stand there and recite 276 verses, read the entire thing in Arabic, of course? I mean, how long are you going to be there?
Yeah, that's
it's a long time.
Yeah.
You ain't going home for a while. And then it says you're going to recite Quran 3. I think that's, again, we're talking over 100 verses. I think it's 150 or 170 verses. Come on. I mean, and again, on Nisa, which is number 4, We're talking, this is a long, we're talking hours. This is just kind of nutty. Notice on the right, catch this part. The entire text is to be read after the opening. Notice it didn't say that on the left. The optimal way is that after reciting the opening supplication, okay, al-Tawid, again, they're citing the chapters that are to be read. Did it say you had to read the whole thing? No, but on the right, really, I'm going to read the entire. Oh, I don't think they want the people who don't read Arabic to know. They want you to read the whole surah. Really, you're telling me I got to sit there and listen to the entire chapter 2? That's what it says in the beginning here. The entire text? Wow. Now we should find out. Any Muslims go to the prayer of the eclipse and actually listen to the entire surah of the cow? Or the bright yellow cow? That's what it is. It's a Surah 2 is about a bright yellow cow. That will never stop making me laugh. All right. Let's keep going. I want to finish this today. So I'm racing through this because I am tired of this chapter. All right. Darcy, could you finish up this all the way down to the end of this section? That's to where last word is prayers there.
She might be out. I think she made a little note saying she was going to be out. So I mean,
okay, I didn't see it. Okay, yeah, if you could.
D, and recite Quran 5 for the fourth recital. Or one may recite comparable amounts of the Quran in place of the above surahs. One bows and says, Subhana Rabbia at him. How far above any limitation is my Lord most great? After the first of the 4 Quran recitals for a period equal to reciting 100 verses of Al-Baqarah.
So you understand what I mean? They're going to be reciting the entire surah. We're talking again. They just said the equivalent of reading these, like they're saying it out. And here's another good laugh. They said that the first of the 4 Quran recitals for the period equaling 100 verses of Al-Baqarah. Okay. Notice that on the right, it says in the table is the 4th. So in the first bowing, he recites the equivalent of 100 verses from Al-Baqarah. The equivalent in the second, and the equivalent of 80. Wait a minute. That's not exactly what we're reading on the left. I mean, it's kind of different. Like, oh. All right, let's skip down to F20.6.
Okay.
All right.
After praying, it is recommended that the imam give 2 sermons like those of the Friday prayer and conditions, except that here the sermons follow the prayer as opposed to those of the Friday prayer which precede it.
Again, on the right, it says, then he delivers 2 recommended sermons like the Friday prayer of the pillars and conditions, except that they are after the prayer. And this is the part that made me laugh when I translated it using Google Translate. Unlike my sin. Who's writing this? Okay. Friday, it is before prayer. Okay. All right. We're up to F20.7. One may no longer perform the eclipse prayer if one has not yet begun it with the eclipse when the eclipse passes. When the sun sets while still eclipsed, or when the sun rises while the moon is still eclipsed. But if one has begun the prayer and the eclipse passes, or the sun sets while still in eclipse, while the sun sets while still in eclipse, one nonetheless completes the prayer. Look on the right here. If he does not pray when everyone has appeared, or the sun sets while it's eclipsing, or the sun rises while the moon is eclipsing, then he'll not pray. even if he enters around and it appears. So this is an excuse not to pray? You came too late? Now, Sharon, just read the title on the left for F21.
Prayer for rain.
No, that's read the one on the left.
Oh, excuse me. The drought prayer.
Okay, is a prayer for rain a drought prayer?
Depends on
No.
It is.
what they say.
Well, if you're experiencing a drought, it's kind of a prayer for rain. But I just thought it was interesting that the translator didn't say it correctly, and he thinks we need to know this is why they're praying for rain. I mean, Darcy, can you read 21.1, please?
Yeah. The drought prayer is confirmed or a confirmed sunnah, even for someone traveling or praying alone, and is recommended to be prayed in a group. Okay. When the land is parched.
Hold on. On the right, it's like, okay, we got confirmed sunnah again. It's nowheres in the hadith. It's not, again, they're never telling us how to pray. They're never telling, why is, and Houston's asking the important question. Does eclipse mean an actual? Yes, it does. We're talking about astronomical eclipse. Yes. Lunar and solar eclipses. Yes. Okay. Yeah. All right. Now we're on that drought prayer again. So you have to sit there and like, okay, you got a drought. You're going to be praying for rain. Now, when we started this whole section, we talked about wudu and how you had to be clean. And not too long ago, we talked about how rain could stop you from praying. But here you are praying for. You could join prayers together if it rains. Okay. All right. I thought the drought would probably be helping you pray more. All right. If you could read that last part there on the left.
Yeah. When the land is parched or the water supply is cut off or diminished, the imam.
Okay. On the right, it says the land becomes barren or the waters are cut off, lest the imam will preach to the people. That kind of makes sense. Okay. Come on. All right. Keep going there, Darcy. Read all the way through that one.
The caliph or his representative warns people against wrongdoing and orders them to repent for their sins, give charity, because this influences the acceptance of prayers, settle their differences with enemies. If the enmity is not for Allah's sake, otherwise it is not objectionable, for severing ties with the corrupt is something that one should do, and fast for 3 days, which must be consecutive, for this is obligatory if the caliph orders it. Then on the 4th day, while still fasting, they come out to an empty expanse or desert in their work clothes, accompanied by those of the women who do not have attractive figures. The livestock, men and women advanced in years, infants and small children, the pious, and those related to the messenger of Allah, bless him and give him pieces. And they ask Allah to give them rain because of those present, by virtue of their spiritual grace, barakah, interceding through them. Each mentions to himself the good works he has done and intercedes through them. Non-Muslim subjects of the Islamic State who attend are not hindered from doing so, but may not mix with us. So that's basically slavery, the last sentence.
Well, I'm having a good laugh. I'm having a good laugh here because, again, On the right, the Arabic says, and those who are not of normal appearance, it puts women together with livestock. It puts elderly in with them, old women, infants. Is this really what they think of women compared with livestock? I mean, the Quran does talk to women as compares them to plows. You can, yeah, you can plow your woman. Oh, what does this say? It's a hilarious thing. And those who are not of normal appearance, women, livestock, the elderly, old women, the young, the righteous, and the relatives of the messenger of Allah, and they stay ahead of them. This says a lot about what Islam teaches about their law. I mean, does it teach it has a concern about women and their women who are attractive get special treatment. Women who aren't attractive get different treatment. They get lumped in with livestock and the elderly and the old, and they're supposed to help take care of the infants.
Hey, Paul.
Funny. Yeah.
You're getting spammed in the comments.
Oh.
Our favorite dancer.
Oh, I see that. I don't see. Oh, in here. Yeah, I've been. We're gonna take care of that again. All right. He's a gone. I don't care. It's funny because some people just don't have the intelligence to actually debate. They don't have the cognitive ability, and that would be the Allah dancer, the guy who likes to dance to non-Islamic music, and he is now known as was the Filipino dancer. So yeah, okay. I mean, that's his joke on himself, unfortunately. The sad truth is he's not ready to debate, but he likes to spam. Okay.
Yeah, he just
I
needs
won't
to.
give stage. I won't give a stage to someone like that.
Right. All I'm going to say is he needs to actually do his own reading and research instead of just blah, blah.
Yeah. When you don't have the intellectual capacity to do those things, the only way you get a stage is to jump on and repeat yourself and scream and yell. But that's the level cognitive ability of Aladdin, and that's. I was just going to leave him out and forget him. He can come and say whatever he wants and not be able to get the floor. I think it's funny. All right.
Just keep praying for him.
Yeah. My question to Aladdin. Let's see if he can respond. Why does Islam treat women who aren't attractive differently than women who are? Really? Aladdin, would you dare to tell your beautiful wife, if you've got one, that she now has to go to the mosque to pray during certain times because she's no longer attractive? That's going to get me for quite a while. Well, you have this woman, you've been married to her for 30 years, and every year you have said to her, you are beautiful. You get to stay home to do this prayer. And then the next year you say, sorry, you're not there anymore. That's a challenge. I would never dare say. Wow. What is... And if you're just joining us, again, the stuff on the left is the actual English translation of Reliance of the Traveler, which is Shariah. And the stuff on the right is the Google translation that I've looked at. And it's, you can see it's really, really, this time it's pretty close. And there are things that they're hiding from us is the other intent here. So I'm having a good laugh, really. How many men are going to do that? I mean, I'll tell you this, guys. If you like sleeping on the couch, go ahead. Say those things. Yeah. You like burnt toast for dinner, for breakfast, for lunch? Go ahead. I don't have that kind of courage. Sorry. I'm not married, but I'm not treating a woman like that. No, no, no. I guess it's okay in their belief structure, but it's just not right. All right, Sharon, can you read 21.3 for us, please?
The drought prayer consists of two rakas like those of the Eid. The Imam gives two sermons like those of the Eid, Eid, I'm sorry. Except that in place of each Allahu Akbar, the Imam says, I ask forgiveness of Allah Most Great, whom there is no God but He, the living, the ever subsistent, and I turn to Him in repentance. During the sermons, the Imam frequently asks Allah's forgiveness, blesses the Prophet, supplicates Allah, and recites the verses. Ask forgiveness of your Lord. Verily, He is oft forgiving, and He will loose the sky upon you in torrents, aid you with wealth and sons, and make gardens and rivers yours.
On the left, this is interesting. See how close or how bad this is. It is, if you see where it starts. They say that it says the nature of the rain prayer. Okay, not having a problem with calling it one thing versus another, and the Aleph freak show is back again. All right, it's two rakas like the Eid. He delivered two sermons like the Eid, except that he opened them. Two sermons asking for forgiveness by asking for forgiveness instead of the takbir. Again, on the left it says Allahu Akbar. Again, this is the changing voice that we're talking about. They stop talking to the average Muslim. Again, they're addressing the Imam. So this should be making you think. Again, I love this one. Yeah. Aladdin, can you explain why Muslims provide fake translations of Sharia into English? Yesterday I was making a big deal about English translation of the Quran not counting as being the Quran. So, Aladdin, why do Muslims lie about translations? Well, the truth is, they're afraid we'll know what it says. Oh, and if that's the truth, what are they afraid? Oh, that Muslims will leave. Oh, please, do read the Quran. Please read the Quran. It's the most nonsensical thing you'll ever read. And the people who keep following, like Aladdin, when you're cognitively not able to comprehend things, that's why you follow so fervently and do some foolish things like constantly bother people. All right, let's keep going. I look at this part. It says, and I seek forgiveness from God the Great. Allah Allah Akbar does not mean great. Allah Akbar means it means Allah is bigger. Again, it could mean Allah is fatter. We don't know. How is He bigger? I'm bigger than a mouse, bigger than an ant, bigger than a piece of lice. Ugh. Yeah. What is Allah bigger than? Your pinky? I have no clue. Here we go.
Sorry about that.
He said, that's all right.
Okay.
I'm having a good laugh with this. I mean, what does it say? I mean, again, the changing voice. This is just kind of nutty is how I'm looking at it. They give us things to say. And here's the other part I want to talk about in here. And we're going to be getting to that in a minute. Supplication. The concept of praying to Allah for rain is a concept of supplication. But does Islam actually understand what the word supplication means? And I'm going to take you back and let me see if I can do it from this end. I think we were over here. Okay. Thought I saw supplication. One of these. I'll come back. Okay. Someplace in here, we've talked about supplication. Yeah, here it is on this page. All right. He exaggerates in his supplication secretly aloud, and I'm reading on the right. And those present raise their hands in supplication pointing with their backs of their palms to the sky and the incoming supplication. All right. What is this purpose here? What is the concept of supplication here? In his supplication, secretly and aloud. How is something out loud secret? Please explain that to me. You're showing with their backs and their palms to the sky and the incoming supplication. Incoming supplication. Incoming from where? We are among those. So if it's incoming to you, or is it incoming to Allah? So do you actually this is what they keep revealing. They don't know what supplication is. So I'm going to pull up a piece, and I just want to keep driving this point home. They have no clue what supplication is. And I'll get it here just a second. One of these I have here. All right. This, by the way, is a new devotional that'll be out pretty soon. We'll have a different cover that I'm going to be putting out. I have Book of Hebrews coming out soon, devotional on the supremacy of Christ, and one on 1 Corinthians, Paul's epistle to wayward saints. So I saw this. I just typed in supplication in sunnah.com. And this one hadith gets repeated over and over and over again. It says, Abu Hurairah reported, the messenger of Allah said, 3 supplications are answered without doubt. The supplication of the oppressed, the supplication of the traveler, and the supplication of the parent for his son. Now, supplication is a concept of begging or pleading in prayer. Okay. We could say, okay, answered without doubt. Who's answering these, by the way? It says the messenger of Allah is saying that 3 supplications are answered without doubt. Supplication of the oppressed. If that's true, if the supplication of the oppressed is always answered, would you be oppressed? Ever? No. The supplication of the traveler. I don't want to keep on traveling. I don't want to. I want smooth roads ahead. Sorry, there wouldn't be potholes in the roads. Supplication of the parent and his son. For his son. Well, if that's the case, you wouldn't have Muslims killing their children for leaving Islam. Oh. So wrong on all 3 parts. But again, this is because they don't understand what the word supplication is. Now, I said that this gets repeated over and over again. You'll see it here. Supplication made between the adhan and the ikma is not rejected. Supplication is the pith of worship. Really, tell me when they're doing this. Because all the prayers they do are repetitions. 3 supplications. You hear it again. Oppressed, someone on a journey, parents for the children. As we saw, this just doesn't, they don't understand what supplication means. Supplications for a brother is, again, if it's always answered, why are you repeatedly making these prayers? Utter the prayer, not your prayer loudly, not be low in it. Relate to supplication. I don't think they have a clue.
You know, you can't speak too loud because you might blast Allah's eardrums. But then you can't speak too low because he might not hear you.
I like that. That's a good point. There we go. Not be low. Don't be too loud. Oh, because we might hear you beat that. Allah doesn't actually answer prayers. Oh. But again, why, if prayer is repeating things like the Fatiha, which is the first surah, which many of Islam, of the prophets or the messenger of Allah known as Khatam or Muhammad, if he's telling people if the Sharia is telling you got to repeat this, and it's saying it's part of the Quran, and Muhammad's companions say it's not part of the Quran, all those 17 prayers, 17 repetitions you do a day, they're all in vain. Because you have to repeat the Quran for part of your prayer, for your prayers, I should say. I keep looking through this, and I typed in supplication in sunnah.com, and you just keep seeing all of these pieces. A lot of them are sahih, and even the ones that they say aren't sahih, they're all accepted up to like 60, like 80%, I believe, is the lowest that they go. So it's something to think about. I mean, if they can't, here we go. Which supplication would the prophet often make? He replied, the supplication he would usually recite was, if your prophet doesn't know what it means to make a supplication, the supplication he would usually recite, you don't recite a supplication. It's you're asking for something. If you're going to recite, okay, you're talking about a prayer, recite. Oh, Allah, give us in this world what is good, and in the next what is good, and protect us from the punishment of hellfire. Okay, he's asking for something. But again, he doesn't understand the concept of begging. You're asking God for something. It's supposed to be a personal prayer. And if you're going to have to recite your prayer, we have a problem, because then it's not a supplication. When you have a genuine plea you're putting before God, you might be sincerely repeating words you just said, but it's going to come from here, and it's going to be your original the first time. You might repeat it. God help me. I need help doing this. I need help doing that. God help me. But once you start having a recited piece and you never change that, that's a vain repetition. But again, we blame Allah for not knowing what is what. I'm a little beside myself when I think about this. What does it say when they want to use the word supplication and they don't know what it means? That's a little scary. I think we were okay. We're almost there. I did jump ahead. Sorry about that. We were here. We finished this part. Okay. If you could, Darcy, if you could read on the right, we'll read on the left. I'm sorry, read on the left. It's probably more sensical.
Okay. In the second sermon, about a third of the way through, the Imam turns toward the direction of prayer, the Qibla, and switches his cloak around by putting the right side of it on his left, and vice versa.
Doesn't it sound kind of weird? You have to change how you're dressed in front of everybody. That I'm just kind of surprised about.
Reversing it, yeah. It is also sunnah to turn it upside down. Both sunnahs can be affected by putting the lower left corner on the right shoulder and the lower right corner on the left shoulder. The wisdom therein is the favorable portent of a change of state. The people do likewise. He should supplicate to his utmost, both to himself and aloud. Those present raise their hands with the backs of the hands up. The sunnah supplication is, O Allah, send us rain, raining wholesomely, healthily, torrentially, widespread, pouringly, in sheets, drenchingly, continuously, till judgment day. O Allah, give us rain, and make us not of those who despair. O Allah, servants in cities are in distress, hunger, and want, from which we can ask none but you for relief. O Allah, make the crops grow, and the milk of the livestock flow, and send down the sky's blessings upon us, and bring forth for us the blessings of the earth. Raise from us the affliction that none but you can lift.
So you have to go through a ritual to do this prayer, It almost sounds like an Indian rain dance where you have to change how you're clothed in the middle of the dance. I mean, in the middle of your prayer. You're all going to do it. You're going to have the imam get out and change himself, how he's dressed. Then everybody else is going to change how they're dressed. That sounds like a dance. It doesn't sound like a prayer. And then you have to repeat words in a certain way, saying certain things. Tell me, where is there direct communication from here, from you to the living God? It's not happening. You could be pleading all you want. You could be asking for rain, but you're not asking God. You're asking something. Again, your plea is to, I would say, if you're praying to Allah, you're praying to a false God. That's part of this. But they don't know what the word supplication means. There's nothing unique happening here. If you have to pray something someone else told you to pray, you're not having a conversation with God. Conversation, I mean, you can, I was just talking to somebody today about the uniqueness of, just yesterday and today, I should say yesterday and today. The church, I mean, I'm part of a group on like Wednesdays we get together, and this is really cool. But I mean, it's about 10 of us at the most get together, and we're talking over the pastor's sermon, and we were talking about what does love really mean. And one of the things we talked about is we have a God that loved us first. And the interesting part here is God may love us first, and he sets an example because he loves us first. He starts to talk to us. All right. He lets us know he's real. Oh, so what are we supposed to do? Talk to him. That means we can yell, we can scream, we can cry, we can throw things because he's listening. He wants to hear you, whether you're angry with him, whether you're sad with him. He just wants to hear your voice. Whoa. Now, have I been mad at God? Oh, yeah. Have I been angry? Have I been screaming mad? Did I throw something? Yes. Have I been down in the dumps to the point where I'm crying and begging for help? Yes. Has God answered all my prayers? No. Has he done some miraculous things? Absolutely. Had one of those things happen this week. I've shared some with some people here, and they're like, okay, God does some unique things that are just shocking and surprising and makes you happy. And then there are some things you sit there and you try and figure out. But have that conversation. Don't trust someone giving you things to say. Have the private conversation with God. Be daring enough to try it. If you think you got to do this stuff, you're doing what the this Muslim prophet they call Jesus called vain repetitions. Oh, if you're doing vain repetitions, you're denying the words of your prophet. So, what does that say about repeating the Fatiha 17 times a day? Keep thinking. All right, we're going to go up. We're almost done. I'm getting excited. I am so tired of this section on prayer. Let's see. Who just read? Was that Sharon or Darcy?
That was Darcy. I'll take it.
Okay. All right.
If they pray,
I'm
not
sorry. I'm so excited. This is one of the last slides. I'm so excited.
I don't blame
I
you.
am sick of section F.
If they pray but are not given any rain, they repeat the prayer until given rain. If they prepare and gather but are given rain before the prayer, they pray in thanks and ask for more. F21.4. It is recommended for those whose land is flourishing to supplicate after prayers for those whose land is parched. This being the middle course, the minimum is to make a supplication, while the optimum is to take the above measures of performing 2 rakas with the 2 sermons, the supplications and asking for forgiveness. F21.5. At the first rainfall of the year, it is recommended to uncover part of the body for the rain to strike. Oh boy. F21.6. It is recommended to glorify Allah when the thunder is heard, saying, "Glory to him, the thunder and the angels glorify in awe of him." And when lightning is seen, glory to, I need a page turn, him who shows you the lightning, that you may have fear and hope. F21.7, if it rains so much that harm is feared, it is recommended to supplicate as has come in the Sunnah. O Allah, around us, not upon us. O Allah, upon the hills and bluffs, the valley floors, and copses of trees.
Guess what? That's the last of F. But we're going to come back here for a second. Oh, yay! We hit the end. All right. Okay, let's go to F21.5. On the left, it said it's recommended to uncover part of the body for the rain to strike. On the right, the Google translation says he regrets exposing part of his body so that it may be hit by the first rain that falls in the year. Wait a minute. Is it recommended or is it something you regret doing? I'm a little confused. Regret and recommended are not the same thing. Like, okay. Why would they change that? Well, they don't want you to know that it's not a good I mean, what's the error? I mean, why would you do this? It's just crazy.
You know why?
Yeah.
Because only Allah knows best.
That's exactly it. Whoever is creating these stories of how to pray, these directions, needs some serious help. I mean, you got to pray this particular thing when thunder and lightning come. Okay, it's thunder and lightning. You might be running outside and being thankful. After a dry spell of thunders and lightnings, that's not necessarily a good thing. Just so you think about it. Thunder and lightning during a drought means there's going to be a torrential rain. It's not going to be pitter patter. You might want the rain, but that thunder and lightning is not necessarily, it could mean a flash flood. And that's what I'll say about that. If you're going through a drought, you hear that thunder and lightning, you live out in Las Vegas, or you live someplace where there's a desert area and haven't seen rain in quite a while, and all of a sudden you hear that thunder and lightning. Now, I've seen kids that grew up in Las Vegas crying and screaming because they heard thunder and lightning, got in the car, they're like, we got to get to high ground, screaming and crying, please go to high ground. Okay, we're in Rochester, New York, and we're trying to hearing somebody plead for us to go to high ground. There's no high ground. There isn't. And we know that there's nothing to worry about. If the rain comes, there's no thunder and lightning, and then it's not a bad thing. But again, I like this. How much of this all would be done by Quran only people who don't have the Hadith or Shariah to tell them how they should act? You know what, Houston, that is the point right there. There is nothing here telling a person who goes by Quran only. If you're a Quran only Muslim, what do you know about prayer? Well, if you're told you have to pray wait. Who told you how to pray? There's nothing in the Quran. So I think something's not exactly truthful. This is the part that gets me. Are Quran only people avoiding Sharia, or are they practicing Sharia? I mean, this is the question we now have to ask of all those Quran only people that we run into. Do you pray the Al-Fatiha 7 times? Do you say it 17 times a day? If so, you're not a Quran only Muslim. It'll be like, what are you talking about? Well, if you're Quran only Muslim, you haven't been taught how to pray. And yet you're following Sharia, which, of course, doesn't use the Quran. You can sit there and they'll be like, what do you mean it doesn't use the Quran? There's nothing in the Quran that tells you how to pray. Show us. Please find a verse in the Quran that tells you how to pray. Love to see one. Yeah, and that's the right answer. It says prostrate, and White rightly said, prostrate means lying flat. That is correct. It doesn't mean to bend your body. When you read in the Quran or in the Bible, you read in the Bible, and they say the word prostrate, there's a person lying flat. Okay, flat down on the ground like this. That's prostrate. Okay, supine would be laying on your back. Oh, we have a problem here. And some of this stuff, the unfortunate truth is, it's just made up. I mean, why do we know this? Going through Sharia, we haven't seen one mention of the Quran, one mention of the Hadith when we've talked about this. And again, I've been saying, thank God we're done. We've spent too many weeks talking about prayer that don't mention Hadiths, don't mention Quran. Why? Because somebody decided it would be. The only thing that makes sense to me is this is a way to control people. To me, that's pretty sick. If you're using someone's prayer time to control them, we have a problem. And in this part, I want to point out this before I forget. It's supposed to say F21.7, and the one didn't get picked up as an F. I'm sorry. So F21.7 on the bottom, it says, it is, and if the rain is heavy and its damage is wiped away, he supplicates for its removal according to what is mentioned in the Sunnah. Again, the Sunnah would mean we're talking about the Hadiths and the Sirahs. Oh God, around us and not upon us. To the end, that is the end of the supplication. Okay. Why do they put this in here and not cite something? Now, I have questions about when the Sharia was written versus when the Hadiths were written. I mean, how do we actually test some of this stuff? Are they referring to each other? I mean, does one create the other? And you would think if the Sharia was written first, they would create Hadiths to back up the Sharia. And then if the Sharia is written last, why don't they? And what's the purpose of not citing either when you're talking about prayer? It says something if every Muslim learns how to pray from the Imam, and the Imam doesn't teach them what's in the Quran or in the Hadiths about prayer. So where do they get that information? From Sharia. How many Muslims know that? I'd be willing to say probably less than 10%. And the only ones I would say that would be in that 10% are scholars. That's a scary, scary thing. And this is where I say Islam is a Gnostic faith. It is secretive. They don't want you to have the knowledge you need. This is why in the beginning of what we started talking about, they start talking about, oh, well, if you're going to become a scholar, you don't have to. But, if you're going to, you'll be one of these people, you can learn this, but you don't have to. And, it's kind of giving excuses not to know things. Special knowledge gets you special privileges, but we don't want you to know. Or you can always go to Quran 5, verse 101. You're better off not asking questions. Oh. So I challenge you who are out there to listening that really have faith in this God of Muhammad, Muhammad messenger, take a look. Find out if we're telling you the truth. Pick up your own copy of Reliance of the Traveler. Pick up Umda al-Salik in Arabic, or however you want to pick it up. That's Reliance of the Traveler. It will blow your mind. We've gone through this page after page. You can watch all of this. I haven't missed a page. I really wanted to. But I felt that we had to go through this piece by piece. As much as I admit it's tiring and it's annoying. And tiring and annoying probably don't truthfully cover all of how it is so tiring. I really at times wanted to stop because it just seems so stupid, because again, none of this is in the Quran. There's no Islamic scriptural basis for any of it. If you're going to tell people how to pray, it should be based on the scriptures that you have. Okay, what do we have? We have something called the Lord's Prayer. We have a sample by the person we as Christians consider God on earth, Jesus. And did he say to copy his prayer? No. He said to pray after this manner. Oh. So that means copy the method, copy the style. Look at how he put things. There's a certain order he puts things in. You know, you can think about those things. Pray after this man. Okay. Start thinking about those things. If you have a person come to earth who is also God, and he says, you know, this is a way you should pray. Okay. Muslims claims he's the prophet. Well, if he's a prophet, then why did you make up this crap? Why don't you just pray after the style that the prophet you claim taught? Well, let's pretend that the Quran, that the Gospels are now corrupted. Pretend, okay, but the Quran says it's accurate. So what does that say about Shariah? Well, Shariah must be man-made then, because all of Section F has no scripture references. Oh. So what does it say about how Muslims have been praying?
They don't know because they can't read. They don't know Arabic.
Yeah, and you know, and it doesn't. I don't think there's anything telling Muslims you can't read Sharia in your own language. I haven't seen anything saying that. Please let me know if you see anything saying. I mean, if your mom says it, get it on a recording. I'd love to hear that one. I'm kind of surprised. I mean, I will say this. The amount of information we have covered. Again, I've raced through this 3, 4, 5 times on my own. But going through this with friends and going through this with, as a team, going through this, I pick up more. Part of because, you know, I'm listening, I'm talking, and I'm sharing, and you guys are saying things I didn't catch, which helps. I'm still kind of mind numbed about a prayer you wouldn't send your wife to because she's pretty, and then one year you tell her, oh, you lost your prettiness, or you're too heavy now, or whatever, and now you can stay. Now you have to go to the. If you have the mindset to do that kind of thing, yeah, I keep forgetting their women are cattle. They equate them with cattle. Oh, and then the children get cramped in there, and the elderly and the old ladies.
Well, I have to tell you that is not utterly amusing anymore.
It's not utterly. Utterly, yes, it's not utterly. This is going to be when I do write my next piece or next book. If I'm doing this part here, those who are not of normal appearance. Okay. On the left, it says women who do not have attractive figures, women, livestock, the elderly, old women, and infants. The young and righteous and the relatives of the messenger of God, they stay ahead. Okay. I'm going to be thinking about that for a while. Your God, Allah, if you're a Muslim, your God treats the beautiful people differently than he treats the average person. Does this mean your God has eyes? And that he doesn't see things interior, how a person's heart is. He only sees the outside? Too many questions. Let's see. Now, I have gone through a lot of different stuff. Let me just escape out of this part here first. I did want to share the end first before I don't want to forget that I have this up here. These are some books so you can help celebrate or help support what I'm doing. If you have young boys, I recommend the book Proverbs, Book of Wisdom for Boys. Believe it or not, that is the best-selling book we have. My friend Michael helped write this with me. You have a social studies teacher out there that you know what social studies teachers need to know about Islam. By the way, there's not a word in there about religion. So that's the fun thing. It's just history. That's why it's written that way. And the last book I did is The Cancer of Civilization Jihad. And I do have 2 more coming out, which I'm really excited about. And 2 more devotionals. And I have plans for 10 more. To me, that's exciting. Now, stop sharing for a minute. We've gotten through this. I didn't realize we'd get through it in this time. I was worried we would be down to the last second. Ask yourself over and over again, why does Islam not know what it means doesn't know what a supplication is, yet it's telling people how to pray? Because if you put the supplication in, then, the whole point of this Islamic prayer is to take away prayer from you talking to God. That's the thing I see over and over again. Even when you're praying for this rain, it's giving you word for word what to say. You're praying with the eclipse. It's taking away what you're supposed to say from your heart. All of these things take away your opportunity to pray to the living God. Why is that important? Oh, it takes away your ability to communicate with the living God. Somebody's scared you might communicate with God. Who might that be? Could it be the chief of all deceivers? The one who claims to be the chief of all deceivers in the Quran is Allah. In the Bible, that person is Satan. He is the great Satan. Think about these things. I am tired from going through this, and I do want to thank all of you for being here. I'm going to end early and very, very happy we are done with Section F. So next week we get to start Section G, and what will we find? God bless you all. Thank you all for listening.
Yep, God bless.
Any last words, Darcy?
No, thank you for letting me on.
Oh, I'm so glad you came. Any last words, Sharon?
Well, thanks for what you do. I appreciate it.
We're going to get through this. It'll take maybe another year, but we will get through. And the goal here is if we can get one Muslim to realize what's being said and they find God, we get to party. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
What I mean by party, we get to celebrate with the angels. God bless you all. Thank you.